Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just with Dara, Season 3, Episode 9. So, for starters, let me start off by apologizing for not, releasing an episode last week. I'm sorry about that. I can't really give, an actual reason behind it besides, podcast block, but, that was it, I guess, honestly, because the thing is, I typically have, the episode that I'm gonna do, even if I haven't recorded it, I at least have the idea, at least a week in advance. But, what day was that? The 8th, I believe? Yes, sorry. The 8th was approaching, and, I couldn't think of a topic, and I was like, oh, it will come to me, later on, whatever. And the thing is, I always have, backup topics, just in case what I actually wanted to happen may not happen. And I have, around 10 of those or so. But the thing is, those topics, I feel like they're, really for a rainy day, because it's, I don't necessarily love them. They're just kind of there. So I guess I kind of just figured, it's better if I just don't release an episode than put out an episode that, I don't really love and that I feel like is not that good of a topic. And so, I definitely should have, said something, though, I'm not releasing an episode, or, sorry for not releasing an episode. But, I was also kind of taking, it wasn't really a social media break, but, let's just call it that, a mini social media break from, associating with the podcast and stuff. So I didn't really post much either between the 1st, actually, of January, from when I released the first episode of, the year, and by that I mean Season 3, Episode 8, the one about cultural appropriation. Between that time and now, I hadn't really, been posting much at all on social media. So why do I say social media as if I have multiple accounts? Just Instagram. I'm sorry. But I'm definitely gonna get better at that. Also I meant to say though, so this topic, as you guys can tell by the title, we're talking about the white savior complex, which I actually had this idea last week Saturday, but then I was I didn't, it's not I didn't love it, but it was okay, honestly, I'm gonna just say it. I was too lazy to do more research on it, to be completely honest. I got the idea on that Saturday, and I was and I just really didn't feel like going and reading up about it and watching different videos and stuff like that. I just really did not have the energy to do that. And the thing is, I can't even blame it on schoolwork or anything like that, because I'm chilling right now. I'm not stressed at all. I was just lazy and didn't have that many good ideas. That was literally it. Because last fall, when I had, I think it was actually summer still, I guess, but in August, I believe, August, sorry, when I had the episode titled I'm Confused, and that episode was just me confused about the podcast, and I didn't really have a clear outline for that episode or whatever. That time, partially I was stressed with school a little bit, and I was also stressed with school in December and stuff, but now I'm not stressed. That's why I feel even worse about the fact that I just didn't release an episode, because it's before I could be I should focus on my mental health and school and stuff, but it's that wasn't even the case this time. This makes me seem, honestly, this makes it more bad. I don't know why I'm saying all this, but I apologize about that. I'm definitely going to do better on that. So I don't think it's going to happen yet. Then again, I don't want to say that, but I hope it doesn't. So I'm sorry for the unexpected break and the unplanned break. But the season is almost done though. This is the second to last episode. So it was actually this week was supposed to actually be the last episode. Then I would have gone on a month and a half, possibly 2-month break, kind of depending on how I feel, honestly, and how it is with school, since I did just start a new semester but with different classes. And so excuse me, this would have been the last week, but then I skipped last week, so I'm still going to release 10 episodes this season. It's just that the season will be extended longer to the 22nd now, which, honestly, even today, the fact that I'm recording this so late in the day, around 10 p.m., I considered not putting on an episode today either. I'm sorry. And the thing is, I really can't give a super clear reason as to why, because me myself, I'm not even really sure why I didn't feel like it. I think it was just laziness. It's honestly just laziness. I apologize though. Definitely gonna get better with that. But let me stop rambling now. Let's actually get into the episode. Like I said, we'll be discussing the white savior complex, which in this episode though, I mean it is a solo episode, but I'm doing things a bit differently. I'm gonna be reading from different sources online and things like that, and then kind of just going from there with the episode and sharing my opinion on it and what I really think about it. And also I encourage you guys to use the different platforms that this podcast is on to share your own opinions on it as well. Comment on YouTube. Also on Spotify, there's a Q&A option where I'll ask you guys a question, probably just your thoughts about it, maybe something more specific, I'm not sure yet, but it will be up there where you can respond and I can then see your answers to that as well. So I encourage you guys to do that because I think that would be a nice way for me to also see what you guys think on it. And yeah, so let's get right into the episode. Okay, so what is the white savior complex? So this definition here is from healthline.com, so all credit goes to them. But basically it says, the white savior complex is a term that's used to describe white people who consider themselves wonderful helpers to Black, Indigenous, and people of color. But they, quote, help for the wrong reasons, and sometimes end up doing more to hurt than help. So basically, I'll just go through different examples of where the white savior complex is prevalent. That way I can properly, I guess the word be, express what I'm talking about. Yeah. So for starters, we have missionary work, which is definitely the first thing that comes to my mind when I think of the white savior complex. And so this is in regards to when white people go to maybe places in their own area, or especially a lot of times other countries and developing countries, to help them maybe after disasters, or to help them with education or different things like that. And then they'll a lot of times take pictures with those with the children who happen to be people of color and be like, oh my gosh, look at all this good work I'm doing, I'm helping all these people or whatever, so etc., etc. And I think it's and I don't want it to seem as if I'm saying as if I'm just trying to find the fault in what white people do, and I'm oh, this is bad, but because it's they are helping, that's true. And also I want to make clear that I'm not saying this goes for every single white person who goes to another country or goes to an underdeveloped place in their area to help out people. That's not my mission or goal at all. But a lot of times with these missionary trips, especially if it's they're what's the word I'm looking for? Religiously affiliated. I think a lot of times they make it their goal to seem as if they're this super amazing person, and look at all the good they're doing, and I'm a hero to these children, I'm a hero to these people, and and I feel that pushes on the idea of oppression, in a sense that it's I think these people of color feel they have to be eternally grateful to these white people for helping them or saving them, or getting them out of these trenches, or getting them out of this bad times, and now they're oh yes, I owe my life to these white people. But it's I feel you can just kind of clearly tell when someone's doing it for the wrong reasons or when someone's doing it for the right reasons. Just when you see, I feel also when a lot of times it's sometimes these white people have a honestly, different races do this as well. This is not just white people in regards to helping other people in volunteer work, but they have a tendency to always post a lot about it on social media and different things like that. And obviously I would say it's good if you're just trying to get the word out there, oh, this is how you can help too. But when you're doing it in a sense of oh, look at all the great things I'm doing, that's just really prideful and arrogant, really. So it's excuse me, you don't want to do that, and then it seems as if you're just doing this for the so that people can commend you and be oh my gosh, you're so great, look at all the good work that you're doing, or different things like that. And also from Healthline, it says, I'll just read this as well. It says that, in short, white saviors consider themselves superior, whether they realize it or not. They swoop in to, quote, make a difference without stopping to consider whether that difference might not, in fact, have more negative effects than positive ones. So I think that's a good description of it as well. It's like it said, whether they realize it or not, they do see themselves as superior. They're oh yes, I'm doing all these good things for these non-white people, and I'm helping them in the best way possible, and it's like because I'm better than them, or different things like that. So I think that's just kind of where it can be really like detrimental to society as a whole, because it's like you're saying like, yeah, like we're the only ones who like are really helping out with these people or different things like that. So like I said, that also goes in with like volunteering and things like that. And actually, Healthline has something called quote volunteering, which is where it's like it says, quote, a short trip that combines volunteer work with tourism often focuses more on what the volunteer gains from the experience than any lasting benefit to the communities they aim to help, end quote. So that's similar to mission work, and it's just, I guess that also just goes in with like it kind of is more beneficial to them than it really is to the people that they're trying to help. And then I think another example that I would say is a really good example, which I didn't really realize before, but it's also prevalent in this movie. It's when white teachers are looking to, quote, save students. It's like, especially times when it's a lesser developed area or lesser developed school, and it's not like a very good school, so to speak, and then you have like maybe like a lot of people of color there, and so it's like the white teachers feel like they have to save these kids from like eternal condemnation, or I don't know, things like that. And that's prevalent in the movie Freedom Writers, which is a movie about this white teacher who changes the lives of teenagers at an inner city high school. It's based on a true story. And also this, once again, is not to take away from what the teacher has done for these students. It's really good and amazing on her part. But at the same time, it kind of seems as if it's like these people of color, these students and these teenagers can only be successful if they have a white person backing them. And I think, okay, so when I was watching the Colin Kaepernick limited series on Netflix, I forgot the actual name of it, I'm sorry, but basically just like going through like with his life as he's grown up and things, and how in one of the episodes it was talking about the white man's stamp of approval. I think that's prevalent here as well, because it's like, oh, you can't continue on in life, you can't succeed if you don't have a white person backing you, if you don't have a white person saying, yes, this person's, quote, one of the good ones, or this person is, like, yeah, we should continue moving on with this person because they can do it, but the rest can't, or things like that. So I think that kind of goes in with that. It's like as if saying that these teenagers just need a white person to help them to where they're actual like good citizens for this society, for this earth or whatever. And I think that that's kind of like I don't know, it paints the image as like, oh, you can't be successful once again unless you have like a white person backing you. And that shouldn't be the case at all, because as people of color, we can be successful whether or not we have a white person backing us or not. And I think that shows the type of skills that we have on our own. And I think that when it seems as if you're like, oh, these teachers or these Caucasian teachers have saved these students from maybe getting into gang life or teenage pregnancies or different things like that. Although maybe that may be true, it also then looks and feeds into the stereotypes of people of color, and feeds into the idea that, oh, they can't be successful in life and they're just going to end up becoming like low-lifers or different things like that. So another example that was here on Healthline was adoption, which I don't know. This one, I think it's like, it always depends, because, you know, there are some people who are like, who genuinely just want to help. But I feel like then also there are some white people who like will adopt children who who are people of color, so that they can act as if like, oh, they're saving this person from like whatever life that they were having before, just so that they can feel better about themselves. It's not really about them helping the child or helping them to raise them in a loving home, just so that they can be like, oh yeah, like, look at all the good I'm doing for society, like, I'm such a good person, I'm adopting this black child, and now I'm gonna raise them up to be the greatest person ever. I'm adopting this Hispanic child, and I'm gonna raise them up to be the greatest person ever. So that, I think that just kind of also goes in with it. And it's like they're thinking that like, oh, yeah, I have to like if without me they would be nowhere. And I think that's kind of with the adoption thing. But like I said, that that also depends. And then I wanted to read this from Healthline, which says, uh, excuse me, concerns have also been raised. This is under adoption as well, sorry. Concerns have also been raised about white families choosing to adopt black children from American foster homes in an attempt to, quote, rescue them from black culture. That's not to say that white people can't be loving parents to a child of another race, but doing so means actively addressing their own racism and biases, talking with their children about race and racism, supporting and encouraging a connection with a child's birth culture. So all of this is 100% true, I think, in my opinion. If you're going to adopt someone from another race or culture, background, ethnicity, you should definitely make it to a point where they are still intact with that culture, so that they don't lose that. Because it's like, even if, like, when they grow up, society's not going to view them as a white person because they don't automatically know that they were raised by white parents. They're going to view them as whatever race or ethnicity that they are that they appear to be. So I think it's important that they do teach them about, race, racism, biases, stereotypes, all that stuff, because I think just covering it up and acting as if it doesn't exist doesn't help at all. I think you definitely have to talk about it so that people know that, like, it is out there. Don't just act as if it's not a thing, because it is a thing. And it's a thing that definitely needs work towards fixing and needs work towards, like, actually stopping and things like that. But yeah, so I think if they make it to where they're not trying to, like, strip away that child's culture, then I think it's okay. Because with the stripping away of the culture, I feel like that just dates back with, like, colonialism and, like, slavery, and also with, like, making Native Americans, like, assimilate into white culture, or making the African slaves assimilate into white culture. Like, that's not okay. And I feel like that's kind of, in a sense, what it's sort of like when you adopt someone from another culture, and you try to like take away that culture from them. You don't embrace it as well. So now we'll go into the last example, which is actually from a movie, and I will be reading a couple paragraphs from glamour.com, so credit goes to them. Which also, I'll read it and then I'll just talk about it for myself as well. So it's from Hidden Figures, which, as I was reading up on this, like, I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, like, that's crazy. Like, I never realized that before. But okay, I'll just get right into the reading. So also, if you didn't watch the movie Hidden Figures, I mean, I think this it'll still make sense to you, even so, and it's not really like a spoiler or anything like that. So, I mean, I guess it is, but that also depends on how detailed you are about, not detailed, how much you care about spoilers, I guess. In my opinion, I don't really think it's a spoiler. But, okay, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. Let me just get into actually reading it, and then, yeah, okay. What we are not here to do is cut down the incredible, rare treasure that is the true story and performances in Hidden Figures. What we are here to do is point out the problem with making things up to make white people feel less implicated in 400 years of gruesome anti-black discrimination. In the movie, a white supervisor rips down the, quote, colored bathroom signs, smashes it to pieces, and announces to the whole staff, quote, no more colored restrooms, no more white restrooms. Here at NASA, we all pee the same color. Amazing. In real life, side note out of this. Hidden Figures, if you do not know, was based on a true story. So, just wanted to add that. Okay, I'm going to continue reading now. Sorry. In real life, NASA genius Katherine Johnson refused to use the, quote, colored bathroom in the space program's office, defiantly using the, quote, whites-only bathroom. The triumph was hers, and at her own risk. But the movie screenwriter Theodore Melfi defended the historical rewrite to Vice, saying, quote, there needs to be white people who do the right thing, there needs to be black people who do the right thing, and someone does the right thing, and so who cares who does the right thing as long as the right thing is achieved, end quote. Okay, so that's very interesting, which I never realized, and to answer his question of, and so who cares to do the right thing as long as the right thing is achieved, it actually is really important, and I care for one, and I'm sure a lot of other people care as well, because they're taking away from the fact that Katherine Johnson specifically was like, I'm not going to use the colored bathroom, I'm going to use the whites-only bathroom, and, like, as a, I guess, in a sense of, like, a way of protest, and, like, defying the rules, because the rules didn't make any sense at that time. And so, that takes away from the fact that she did that to make it seem as if, again, the white savior. Because it's like, because I remember when I was watching the movie, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I was like, that's so nice of him. Like, that's really good or whatever. And I think that, like, that just feeds into the whole white savior thing, because it's like this white man is saving, like, these black women from, like, having to like, oh, like, yeah, I'm inclusive of everyone, like, you can come and use either restroom, we're not gonna discriminate against you or whatever, things like that. But like, when in reality it was one of the black women, Katherine Johnson, who decided to make that decision for herself and say, I'm going to defy these rules or whatever, and I'm going to go and use the whites only bathroom. So yeah, so to say, oh, who cares, like, who's doing the right thing, like I said before, that just feeds into the whole white savior thing, because it made in that movie that white man look like the savior, and it made him look like, oh my gosh, he's so great, he's so amazing. And like I said before, and like how Healthline was saying, how whether these white people realize it or not, it is feeding into the whole white superiority thing, because when you want to seem like you're that, like, all high and mighty and like all proud and like, look at me and what I did, and I'm so great, I adopted these children, I'm so great, I'm giving food to these people, I'm so great, I'm feeding the homeless, or I'm helping these black kids have a future, I'm helping these Hispanic kids have a future, helping these Asian kids have a future, or helping these brown kids have a future, whatever it is, or anything like that, that's in relation to people of color. If you're like, oh, I'm helping these indigenous kids have a future, that is just, like I said, trying to make yourself feel better as a I don't want to say as a white person, but like, it's trying to make themselves feel better and say, like, oh, like, look at all the things that I've done for society, not even society, look at all the things I've done for these kids, and I'm so great, or back to that. So yeah. Now, ways that I would say to try to help fix this and work on it, so to speak, is that if you are a white person, you find yourself unconsciously participating in some of these things or whatever that happen, then I definitely think that the way to try to work on that, I guess, is like to try to start consciously realizing when you're about to do that, and making like, telling yourself, like, okay, I shouldn't be acting this way or whatever, because I'm not like someone who needs to come in and swoop and save these people of color, because that's not your job, and that's not like, you're like, like, I feel like I'm not properly expressing what I want to say, but my point is that it's like I said, that's not like, that's not your purpose in life, to come and save all the people of color from having a, quote, horrible life or whatever. So I guess ways to work on it is, like I said, just acknowledging that you may participate in these things, and then actively trying to seek and to stop doing that, so that you can actually identify as an anti-racist. Not just, oh, I'm not racist, but actively being an anti-racist. I think that's what's really important. So, yeah, this brings us to a close of this episode. I appreciate you guys listening to this. Once again, I'm so sorry for not releasing an episode last week. Like I said before, next week is the season finale, so I guess that's kind of exciting. And then I believe, I'm gonna say that during the break, which it'll probably honestly be a 2-month break, so I'll come back around beginning of April or so. And honestly, who knows? Maybe I'll come back beginning of March. I don't know. I'll decide that later on. But I'll definitely let you guys know when season 4 will be. Wow, that's crazy. Oh my gosh, when season 4 will be. It also kind of just depends on like everything I have going on with school. Like right now, like I said before, I'm not stressed or anything. But like, I mean, I hope that I stay stress-free. But like, just in the event that something happens, I don't want to take away from my schoolwork, especially because I have a lot of other things going on right now as well this semester that's just going to be a lot of busy things. So, yeah, like I said, oh, and also I'm going to keep saying it until the season ends, but a year just for Dara is coming up, so like I said, be on the lookout for a special episode, because I do have some plans for that 1-year anniversary, and it's going to be a special episode, so I'm excited for that. I hope you guys enjoy this episode. I thank you for listening to it, and I thank you for continuing sticking with me on this podcast journey. Hope you guys have a wonderful day, night, wherever you are. And that's it, just bye. See you next Saturday.